Micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, MSMEs, are globally regarded as the backbone of any economy as they bring about substantial local capital formation and help in achieving high level of productivity and capability. According to the recent report by the National Bureau of Statistics, small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria have contributed about 48% to the national GDP in the last 5 years. With about 17.4 million, they account for about 84% of employment and nearly 90% of the manufacturing sector regarded the number of enterprises. Thus, the industry has over time grown to become an indispensable part of the economy. In recognition of the significant impact of the sector to the global economy aimed at promoting innovation, creativity, and decent work for all, the United Nations General Assembly declared June 27th to be Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day. That's MSME Day. As micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises emerge stronger from the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, it is imperative to celebrate the pivotal role that these resilient entrepreneurs play in strengthening the global economy. The theme for this year is MSMEs Key to an Inclusive and Sustainable Recovery, which is apt given that the whole world is gradually recovering from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in which MSMEs were the worst affected. I have joining me live in the studio, founder MSMEs Africa, Mr. Sheye Rotimi, to talk more, Olurotimi, I beg your pardon, to talk more about this. Thank you very much. It's good to have you in the studio.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me today.
Well, should I say happy MSME Day as we project towards, as we move towards it? I should say that. We were talking on lighter note earlier. I said the MSME space is where to be at the moment. Tell us about this team, Key to an Inclusive and Sustainable Recovery. We know that the effect of COVID-19 on MSMEs cannot be overemphasized. We know what happened even in Lagos. Talk about the federation. You know, people could not go around their businesses. Day-to-day activities came to standstill. Now, tell us, how is there any recovery on the line as we move on?
Okay, so thank you very much once again. And then I'm talking about MSME. Maybe I need to start from there. We want to say thank you to United Nations for designating June 27 as World MSME Day. That started in 2017, and that's in recognition of the good things that MSMEs are doing. Like you rightly said, MSMEs are the bedrock of any economy. So talking about the theme for this year, it's actually very apt. The theme says MSMEs key to sustainable recovery.
Yes,
right? We're talking about sustainable and inclusive recovery, and that's what we're talking about. So when you say sustainable recovery, when you say inclusive recovery, you ask the question, is there recovery? Yeah, there are some levels of recovery, but of course we need to keep working toward recovery so that we can get back to where we were before and even go beyond it. So you will ask me, why are we talking about sustainable and inclusive recovery? So based on a survey from IT's International Trade Center, it's found out that not everybody suffered the plight of COVID the same way, right? Yeah. Some sectors suffered more than the others. So the report says that 67% of women-led businesses suffered more strongly from the impact compared to just 50% of men-led businesses, right? So is that saying that women-led businesses, youth-led businesses, the businesses in the formal sector, they suffer a lot more? So we need to look at how we can work out our recovery that will be inclusive, paying a lot of attention to the sectors that are most badly affected. Yeah, every sector is affected, but those sectors, we pay attention to them. Women-led businesses, like I said, youth-led businesses, the informal sector, and the businesses that are not technologically powered. And that's why we're talking about inclusive recovery. Then talking about sustainable recovery, most of what we did were like firefighting. And that was necessary at that time. We needed measures and stimulus packages that will ensure that we get back on track, and that will ensure that at least we don't fall beyond where we're meant to be, right? So most of the stimulus packages were given to MSMEs so that they could stay afloat. But now we want to talk about something sustainable, not just staying afloat, but ensuring that you keep thriving and you keep growing. And that's why the theme had come to be.
It's a good way to start. Now, unlocking the potential of MSMEs across the country is something that is key to me. I like to always talk about it because a lot of potentials we have in this part of the world. Now, with this challenge, deliberate interventions by government is what I want us to talk about now. How well do these interventions trickle down to operators in all of these sectors? How well does it really trickle down? Because I can tell you that from my research, CBN says about 462 billion has been disbursed as at May 28, 2021. It's worrisome.
Okay, so whenever I get asked this question about government intervention, I always like to start on a note of commendation. So like you said, CBN has done 468 billion. I know about the youth investment fund, that's about 75 billion. There is MSME Survivor Fund.
Yes. Different
tracks. You have the guarantee payroll scheme that ensures that you keep your employees in your employment by helping you to pay them for about 3 to 6 months. That's a commendable one. We have the guaranteed offtake that ensures that you are given resources to produce locally, and then you are also provided the market to sell to. Wonderful. We have the Anchor Borrowers Program. We have a lot of schemes here and there, and so that's commendable. But when you talk about how well it has trickled down, that's another question. So we have 41.5 million MSMEs. We want to ask how many of them actually benefited from this intervention. So we might probably want to expand the scope, we might want to expand the reach, and then we will also want to take care of sustainable measures. We're talking about sustainable recovery. So the scheme that gives artisans 30,000, it's a good one, but is it sustainable? No. The schemes that give some people 5,000 conditional cash transfer, is it good? Good. But is it sustainable? I don't think so. All right, then what about the informal sector? How many of them benefited from it? Because for you to access some of these packages, you need to have some documents, your annual report, some statement, some form of documentation. The guys that are largely in the informal sector, they don't have some of these things, so they probably did not benefit, unlike some other people that have some of the qualifications. So you might want to talk around that. So I commend the federal government, I commend the CBN, the Office of the Vice President, the Ministry of Trade, and the Ministry of Youth and Sport. But we can do a lot more. It needs to actually trickle down. If you just get on the street, you'll find out that a lot of people are still grappling with the serious effect of COVID-19.
Now, you heard the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He talked about SMEs during that interaction, which was focused on ease of doing business. Yes. Obviously, it has to do with MSMEs. So what more challenges do you think MSMEs face? I don't think it's all about funding every time. No. At times, some even say it's about the ideas. How innovative, how creative, how bankable are some of the ideas that our entrepreneurs have? Okay,
so when you interact with every MSME, I can tell you, if you ask them, 9 out of 10 will tell you that their problem is funding. But the truth is, the problem is not funding all of the time. Yeah, there are funding problems, but we have to talk around capacity development. How good are you at managing a business? How well equipped are you to manage a business? So some people just feel like, I want to sack my boss. And because that's like a trend, so everybody just jumps out and then you want to go run the business, and then somewhere along the line you find out that you're not thriving, and you're saying it's because of government, it's because you don't have funding. But the truth is, how well are you able to manage a business? So we need to talk about capacity development. How well are we putting effort into incubators and accelerators where entrepreneurs are trained to manage businesses, where they are trained to package their business, even for an investor? Some people are not investor ready. So even when investors come knocking, they are not able to get the investment because their books are not in order. And that's why we are complaining. Everybody says the tech guys are getting all the funding. Why wouldn't they get it? They are prepared. They have actually planned ahead of time. And so any business driven by technology, you can be sure, and if they have their books in order, they can always get funding. So capacity development, driving our businesses with technology, and being prepared, being investor ready. Those are things we should always be talking about when it comes to MSMEs benefiting.
Driving our kind of businesses with technology is something that everybody talks about at the moment. Now, some will say, was it COVID-19 that brought this to the front burner, or were we thinking about this even before COVID-19? Because many people are now taking advantage of technology. Now, there's the ban on Twitter, so we are limited to Instagram and all of that. So, but what would you say about technology adoption, if I'm allowed to use that word, with our small businesses before now, and comparing it to what's happening now that COVID has come? Well, gradually easing off, but at least that has really changed and let us understand that we can always do business in another way, not always seeing each other directly.
Okay, so I would say one of the good things about COVID is the fact that we find out that a lot of things are actually possible without face-to-face interactions. So some people were the class that believe that if you want to do business with me, I need to see you face-to-face. Yes. Even right now, some people still, we need to sound like, we can always have a Zoom meeting. So the technology adoption for small businesses is still not where it should be. And that report I was quoting the other time, the ITC report, says that part of the thing that has come to the fore is the fact that digital inclusivity has to actually be factored out. For any business to want to recover fully and go beyond where they are right now, they must be digitally enabled. They must adopt technology. Right now, the level is not where it should be. Before COVID, a lot of people just wanted to see you face to face. They wanted to do the manual thing. COVID came, a lot of people started adopting, but I see a lot of people even going back to their old ways now. Some employers, even MSMEs, are insisting that their staff should still come to the office 5 days a week. And I'm asking myself, why do you want to go through that in Lagos traffic? So the adoption of technology is not where it should be. And until we really embrace it, we might really not get the benefit that are on the table for us to access.
Let's now look at this government, back to this government, part of the moves talking about ease of doing business, which I am aware of and I followed up, is the MSME Clinic Initiative.
Yes.
You know, the vice president and agencies of government, MDAs, face-to-face interactions. What bottlenecks do you get from CACA, for example, from NAFDAC, from all of these agencies? And they were able to address some of those things on the spot. Now, what would you say, what's your assessment of that initiative? A lot of positives, do you think?
Yeah, I would say a lot of positive. Like the ease of doing business index, we moved from 146 to 131. Yes. So we moved 15 places. That's a good one. That's the last time I checked. I'm not sure if there is another report yet. But moving 15 places says we're doing something right. Yes. And I want to commend PBEC for that. Then the Office of the Vice President, like you said, the special advisor to the Vice President on MSME is actually doing a good job with the MSME clinics. I think there's going to be an MSME award I think in the next 1 or 2 weeks or thereabout. So they're actually doing a good one. And I like the fact that they are taking it to the grassroots. So they have extensions and initiatives in different states and even at local government levels. So I want to commend them for that, but we can always ask for more.
Of course, we always ask for more in Nigeria. Let's now look at state governments. Are state governments also following? Are they at the same pace with the federal government?
Sadly,
talking about supporting
MSMEs? Sadly no. Because the kind of zeal that comes from the federal government, especially from the office of the vice president, if I see that kind of zeal from every state government, we won't be here we are right now. So I'm really calling on state government to match up with what is happening at the federal level or even surpass them. And of course, let it trickle down to the local government because we have 3 tiers of government. So when you have something at the federal level and everybody is just not taking it with the same zeal and energy, somewhere along the line somebody drops the ball. So I'm not seeing that much zeal and that much zest from the state and local government. But I think if they do what the federal is doing and even surpass it, then the lot of the MSMEs will actually be bettered.
Let's now go a little again to the issue of challenges. There's also something very important that I just remembered while we were discussing tax issues, issues around levies and all of that. I've noticed that most MSME holders or owners that I talk to, they always have that issue, saying when we make a little bit of money, we see a lot of agencies of government and doing all that. What interaction are you also having with government? Trying to let them understand all of these challenges so that you can at least stabilize and move on after COVID-19 and all of that.
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of taxes are in Nigeria. Looks like there is a lot of orientation that we need to do. There is a lot of information dissemination that should happen. So if you ask a typical MSM, what are the taxes you are meant to pay? They don't even know, because you have the company income tax, you have the personal income tax that you should pay for your employees and yourself, and a lot of other taxes. But the truth is that even if you're doing below 25 million as turnover right now, you are not even liable to some taxes. But do they know? All right, so there need to be a lot of sensitization from FRS and which other body could do that, so that we know what taxes we are meant to pay and the ones we are exempted from. So there is a lot of secrets. That's why people want to go through some other people that will help them to undo their taxes. Yeah, you can have tax consultant, but as an MSME, you should be able to do everything from start to finish without running into trouble and being clear about the taxes you are meant to pay. So let there be a lot of more of information dissemination and sensitization with regards to what taxes we are liable to, the ones we are exempted from, and how and when we are meant to pay them.
Now, you are the founder of MSMEs Africa. I just want to ask you this question. I believe you should be able to talk about it. So if you compare the climate and the environment here to some countries around, African countries, let's look at South Africa, let's look at Morocco. Particularly this time we're looking at AFCFTA,
yes.
Another big platform there for us to make some money. Are we doing well, or we still need to borrow a leave from all of these countries? Well,
Nigeria is doing well, and when I say Nigeria is doing well, I'm talking particularly because of the role we are playing in the tech space. Okay, so when it comes to technology-driven businesses in Africa, you talk of Nigeria and Kenya, we are leading the packs. Probably South Africa will come distant third. So we're doing well, and that's why you get to hear today, this particular tech company has gotten some funding, this other one has gotten some funding. But tech businesses are not the only kind of businesses that are available. But when it comes to tech, when it comes to what we're doing with the MSME ecosystem, Nigeria is actually not lagging behind. I also think our population is a good factor that is also helping us. But when it comes to the people that are not in the tech space, when it comes to some other players, then there's still a lot that we can do better.
Employment is key, and MSMEs contribute a lot more to employment. So what do you think, in direct terms, what will you be if you were to request from government, this is what we can do to make us get better? Because there's a discourse ongoing now. There was a discourse in Abuja yesterday, and it's like a week-long event for this MSME week. What do you think government really needs to do to open up this space for you guys to do better, so that people like us can also key in too and become MSME holders? I want to be an entrepreneur too.
Okay, that's great. You can come. Okay, so talking briefly about unemployment, as at Q4 last year, I don't know if there is another report from MBS here.
3.3, I think that's where
that's 3.3%, and that's, you will agree with me, that's serious.
Honestly.
Coupled with inflation. So we have
then
a case
underemployment.
So underemployment, inflation, and stagnant growth. So we actually have stagflation staring us in the face. So that's a big problem. So talking about what the government can do for the MSME space with regards to employment, I think we need to pay a lot of attention to vocational skills. That's one area we can actually play big. So you see every guy on the street now, they don't want to learn a skill. They didn't go to school, they don't want to learn a skill. So everybody wants to become an Okada rider, everybody wants to do internet-based scheme and all what have you. That is not sustainable. I want government to pump a lot more into vocational education in our tertiary institution, in some other places. Even private organizations can do that. Let's have a scheme that can trade 1 million people in 1 year with skill about like air conditioning, refrigerator repair, hairstyling, and some other things. I can tell you, if you do that and you turn out 1 million people in the 1 million every year, that's 5 million in 5 years. You are going to see the impact on the economy, because a lot of people don't want to learn a skill now. They just want quick money, but that will not sustain an economy. So government should help us to pay a lot of attention to vocational skills. That is where we need to play a lot more. Right?
It's important. People build now and they get foreigners.
Yeah, they get foreigners from neighboring West African countries.
Most of all of
that
this
is not
works that
that is not good at all.
Well, it's a good way to leave it. Any more to be said? It's your day. It's you guys. You own the day. MSME Day. As we move on to 27th, we are trying to project ahead. But what more do you think needs to be said, Mr. Sheyolu?
If there is anything I want to say now, is just to commend every player within the MSME ecosystem for their resilience and doggedness.
Yes,
you could agree with me, running a business in Nigeria, in Africa, even everywhere in the world, takes a lot of resilience. So I want to commend everyone who plays within that space, the players themselves, the MSME enablers, the champions, and everyone that is helping MSMEs to thrive. I want to say well done to you. And I see MSMEs thriving beyond what we are doing right now.
MSME Africa founder, I've been talking to Mr. Sheye Oluwotimi. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. We'll always keep a tab on you whenever we have issues surrounding MSMEs.
Thank you very much.
All right then. Well, coming up.